Chapter 1317. Wilbur fell silent for a beat, before saying, "Tell the president that I won't let the enemy set foot anywhere further beyond this land. I'm going to be honest here. I really doubt your power. From what I can see, you've only got about 100 men here, and they're not armed with any firearms. Teria has the Scorpion Army and the Church of Holy Illuminati. Everyone knows how powerful those holy warriors and church militia knights are," Taran said, looking at Wilbur. Wilbur glanced at him. "And I just said that the enemy won't get past that border to us, regardless of how strong they are." Taran frowned. "Your Holiness, I know that the Flame Dragon Lord Church has been doing very well, but Milo Kronos has 30,000 soldiers under his wing. Are you really confident enough to go up against Gary, Michael, and Milo as well? You're welcome to stay and watch if you want to know that bad. I'm sure you'll get an answer soon enough," Wilbur said coldly. Taran paused. "I'll be staying then. If the Flame Dragon Lord Church is defeated, I shall declare your church to have no relation to Gango." "Is that the president's decision?" asked Wilbur. "No," said Taran. "The president has always been in your support, but the cabinet feels very strongly about this. Everyone thinks that Gango cannot afford a war between your church and Teria, let alone against the Church of Holy Illuminati. This was a decision made by the cabinet." Wilbur smiled. "Got it. Well, this is my war, and I'm not going to let you take part in it either. You may stay if you want to, but if you're going back, tell the president and your cabinet that I'll handle everything here. You don't need to worry about anything." "I shall stay and see how the battle turns out," said Taran. Wilbur smiled. He knew that Taran was here on the orders of the cabinet. If Wilbur lost the battle, the cabinet would have no choice but to cut all ties with him to avoid a possible war between both countries. That was not exactly their fault. This was, after all, affecting national affairs, and it did no harm to go about it carefully. Wilbur strode outside. "Enjoy the show then." He reached the border where Carl, Cameron, Dawson, and the church militia members were waiting. They bowed at the sight of Wilbur. At the same time, Taran and two assistants settled on a nearby hill, looking at the border worriedly. They knew that the Flame Dragon Lord Church had a pretty close relationship with the president. It was the president who had made Wilbur a sheik in the first place and even assigned him his territory. That was a clear indicator that Wilbur had contributed a great deal to Gango. However, any contribution could easily be overlooked in comparison to him possibly inciting a war between two nations. The cabinet knew this better than anyone and had thus persuaded the president to send Taran over here. If Wilbur was defeated, Taran's task was to declare that the Church of the Flame Dragon Lord had nothing to do with Gango so that the battle would not affect either nation. However, no one knew for sure if Milo, Michael, and Gary would be willing to end the battle there. Just then, the sounds of car horns blaring could be heard from the other side of the border. The overwhelming number of cars practically made the ground shake. In contrast, the measly 100 members of the Flame Dragon Lord Church militia looked nothing but weak. However, none of the members' expressions seemed fearful in the slightest. They were the most loyal believers of their church, the top of the top, who had been picked out of 200,000 people. They had no fear at all, regardless of who their enemy would be or how powerful they were. Not long after, countless cars stopped by the border in a row. The holy warriors led the church militia knights, getting into position. Their bright red capes floated in the wind, their cross swords and shields shining with a pale blue enchanted glow. A murderous aura could be felt from afar.